ShopGearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Gear Network presents the Football Talk Weekly Podcast with John Cimino and Brandon Gorell. And now, here's John.
It is playoff time. Playoffs here on the Football Talk Weekly Podcast.
What generation do you think's going to forget about that? Who's not going to know that Jim Mora Sr. said playoffs like that?
As long as ESPN is still around, no generation will, because they will always reference it.
I hope so.
Kind of like they always reference the butt fumble.
That should never go away either.
And and hopefully the 70-yard onside kick. We'll talk about that a little later on. But hello, everyone. My name is John Cimino at the JC Money on the Twitter, and joined here, of course, in salty freaking podcast heaven is Mr. Brandon Gorell. Brandon, say hello.
Hello.
All right, thanks again for everybody shopping on ShopGear.com. We had a damn good holiday season. Yeah. And I just got to say that the holiday's not going to end. Holidays don't end because in February is Valentine's Day. Ooh. Just like I said last week, if you want to get the hibbity-dibbity from the missus, you better go to ShopGear.com and go buy yourself some stuff.
Panties to drop.
You gotta. All right, Brandon.
Yeah.
Week 17, end of the regular season has come and gone. A full slate of games last Sunday, most of them meaningless. The best was saved for last, so I'm going to go there. Green Bay visiting Detroit. Now, it was set pretty much once the Redskins lost that Detroit and Green Bay were in.
I'm sorry. I just opened up my phone to Brandon Marshall's quote about the Jets season.
Uh-oh.
He says the best way I can describe it is having a diaper on and never changing it, and just sitting in that diaper the whole year.
He's not wrong.
That is some really graphic description of the New York Jets season. He's
not wrong, though.
No.
He is not wrong at all.
And he's got to buy a car for Antonio Brown.
Yes, he does. Because he made a stupid bet as soon as
he believed too
signed.
Much in Fitz.
He sure did. Well, now he knows how Bills fans feel. But where was I? Oh yeah, Packers-Lions. With the Redskins losing, that meant that the Packers and the Lions were all clinched the playoff berth.
Yep.
Whomever won that game got the division and got the home game.
Yep. Ultimately,
Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood. And the Green Bay Packers won that game. So I have to ask this, and this kind of ties into, I guess, something I had later on, but we can talk about it here. Brandon, who's the MVP of the league? Because there's ongoing conversations about this, and I'm sorry. I know you've been high on Brady all year.
Yeah.
I don't believe Tom Brady is the MVP at all, and I'll explain why in a minute.
Yeah.
But
it's the 12-game defense.
For my money,
yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is the MVP.
Yeah, that's my guy too. Obviously, because it's my favorite team.
Well, yes.
He had 40 touchdowns passing.
Mm-hmm.
He now has multiple 40 touchdown seasons. The only quarterbacks in history to do it are Marino, Breeze,
Manning,
Brady, Manning,
mm-hmm.
and now Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a short list.
Good company.
He hit 40 this year. His yardage were 600 behind Matt Ryan,
mm-hmm.
who's the other MVP candidate.
And he had a hell of a year.
Everyone wants to do that. He threw the same amount of interceptions as Ryan, which is 7.
Mm-hmm.
Where I give him the edge is the running game. For a while, he was their leading rusher.
Mm-hmm.
He has no running game
mm-hmm.
Until recently with Ty Montgomery. He has 4 rushing touchdowns as well, so he has 44 total touchdowns that he's accountable for.
Mm-hmm.
people want to say, well, he wasn't consistent for the whole season. He had a couple of bad games, but you can't have 40 touchdowns and 7 interceptions and 4 additional rushing touchdowns. That's 44 total touchdowns in 16 games, and tell me that he's had an off season.
No, I agree.
He had off times. Yeah, there were some throws that he missed, but everybody misses throws.
Right.
Matt Ryan sucked the joint up on week 1 against the Buccaneers, if we want to go there. He wasn't so spectacular against the Seahawks either, which they lost.
Right.
So he's had some down games as well.
Right.
Everyone wants to give it to Matthew Ice. He probably is going to get it based on what everyone's talking about as far as voters go and whatnot, and that's fine because next week when they roll into Dirty Bird Land and they roll over Matt Ryan and the Falcons again, he can have his little MVP as consolation. But in my personal opinion, I don't know how you take it away from Rodgers. 44 total touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns.
Yes, 44 total touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns.
No running game. Injuries galore. He's had to put that team on his back.
But yeah, exactly. To that point, let's go there. The Packers were 4-6.
Yeah.
They were talking about getting rid of Mike McCarthy.
Right.
Getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. Something's wrong with Aaron Rodgers. Is he broken? Have they finally...
Can't lead.
He can't lead. He's losing the locker room. McCarthy's message isn't being delivered. What's going on? And what does Aaron Rodgers do? Relax.
Basically, I mean,
and
tells him we're going to run the table.
Well, we're going to run the table. Don't worry.
We're really
relax.
Close. We're going to run the table.
And in that time frame, 17 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Right.
As you said, led the team, picked it up, put it on his back.
77% completion percentage.
Exactly. And that, to me, is more valuable than perhaps Matt Ryan because of the fact that the Dirty Birds were always kind of in the position already. First place. And Green Bay wasn't. They ran. This was going to be a bad season for Green Bay. This was going to be a season Green Bay wasn't making the playoffs.
Right.
This was going to be a season of change in Green Bay because of the disarray that was going on. And now they're talking about how hot the Packers are.
Right.
And how, besides the Giants, nobody wants to face the Green Bay Packers right now in the playoffs. That to me, nobody's scared of the Dirty Birds.
No.
But they're talking fear about the Packers.
Right.
So for that and that alone, all of that, I mean, just a whole body of work, I challenge anybody to tell me that Aaron Rodgers is not the MVP.
Yeah, it's going to come down to Matt Ryan and I think Aaron Rodgers. I think Brady's going to get discounted because of the 4 games missed.
Well, it's not so much the 4 games missed. But if he were
2 interceptions, though.
Well, I get that. I get that, and that's fine and dandy.
Injuries to Gronk. Injuries in his backfield, injuries on his line. Edelman has not been the same Edelman as before.
However, they didn't have Gronk the first 3 games with Garoppolo.
Right.
And they obviously didn't have Brady. And they still went 3-1 in the 4 games that they were without him.
Yeah.
I mean, if Garoppolo didn't have that injury, what's to say they wouldn't have beaten the Bills and gone 4-0?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, they'll beat the Bills, but they're not going to do what Brady's been doing.
They're not going to do what Brady's been doing, but
Pittsburgh, and they should have won that game in Seattle, so he should have been undefeated in his 12 games that he was there.
I think that for the MVP award, my take on the MVP is what he brings to a team for that season.
Yeah.
The Patriots really didn't need Tom Brady,
I think that's a
well.
A
they obviously
that's a stretch.
They obviously need him, but they didn't need him to win the first 4 games. They really didn't.
No, but who did they play? They played Arizona. What was Arizona?
Who was supposed to be good?
They beat Miami when they were total trash in the beginning of the year. They beat the Jets, right?
No.
Who did they beat in that first?
Houston.
Houston's garbage.
They were supposed to be good too.
They weren't good though. They were never good.
No.
And
then
so they lost,
beat and then they lost to Buffalo.
Bills.
The Jacoby Brissett start.
Again, it's all based on the opponents. I don't think that Tom Brady goes down the whole year. That the Patriots win the division. Maybe get in as a wild card. But to say that they didn't need him because the first 4 games they went 3-1 is kind of a reach. You're talking about probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And saying that, well, because he played 12 games, he's not the MVP. I mean, what he did in his body of work. It's your body of work.
I think he's in the conversation.
Absolutely.
I just don't think he's the MVP based on the fact that you had Aaron Rodgers, a Matt Ryan, a Matt Stafford, dare say even a Russell Wilson.
Oh, Russell Wilson was hot garbage this season.
I mean, I had him as my fantasy quarterback.
I think you're thinking
but he's
of
still
last year.
I could be, but still, Stafford, Ryan, and Rodgers.
Carr.
Exactly. I would give the edge to those four over Brady, and I'm not just saying that because of my Jets allegiances or whatever. But I think they've done more.
I'd give Ryan and Rodgers. That's it. I wouldn't give any of those other guys.
Really, you wouldn't give Carr?
No. 23 and 2. I mean, 2 picks. That's insane. Even if he threw like a pick a game for the time he was in there, he still would have led the league with only 6 given up.
What if he rubbed your balloon nut? Would you give it to him then?
I'm just saying. I think that people are discounting Brady just because they don't like Brady. But, I mean, to do what he did, especially all the distractions, not much of a preseason, can't practice, can't do shit. Oops, there's a toasty. Can't do anything for the first 4 weeks of the season, and then he just comes in and just lights the league up.
Okay.
League MVP is a weird thing because you're talking value to a player's team. Yes, the Packers would be in deep trouble without Aaron Rodgers. The Falcons would probably be in deep trouble without Matt Ryan. I think the Patriots would also be in deep trouble without Tom Brady. We see that the Raiders are in big trouble without Derek Carr.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott,
I'm
sure Dak Prescott would have done all right with another running back.
I'll see your point, and I'll raise you 2008 with the Patriots. And Brady goes down with the injury.
Yeah.
And they finish 11-4 with Matt Castle.
Yeah.
Or 11-5 with Matt Castle.
Yeah, 11-5.
I mean, they still missed the playoffs, but that was a really weird year.
Right.
We're an 11 team. But so I don't think that the Patriots would have been. I think Belichick would have found a way to adapt. I don't think it would have been a loss season for them, just because that's just the way.
But it's league MVP, and it's not just most valuable to your team.
Right.
It's statistics. It's how you fare versus the rest of the league, and he fared pretty well versus the rest of the league.
Okay. I have 6% left on my phone. I pick Rodgers as well. I have 6% left on my phone, and that has the coaching candidates or the coaching situations here. So Black Monday has come and gone.
Why is it going to be Black Monday?
Well, we already knew going into it that Jeff Fisher, Gus Bradley, and Rex Ryan were let go from the Rams, Jaguars, and Bills, respectively. This past Monday, the San Francisco 49ers released GM Trent Baalke, or Balk, or Balky, whatever, I don't know.
But not going to work here anymore.
And Coach Chip Kelly after one season.
Oh,
so
Chippewa.
Two
One
coaches.
Season's pretty herky-jerky, man.
2 coaches in 2 years for San Francisco.
And they got to pay both of those guys.
Exactly.
$69 million they're going to be paying out in coaching contracts for coaches that are not there.
San Diego will likely be moving to LA Chargers.
Yep.
To Los Angeles, become the Los Angeles Chargers. They will not be doing it with Mike McCoy.
Right.
They let him go. Possibly future Jets offensive coordinator, but we're not going to go there.
All of LA is coachless right now.
Right, pretty much. The Denver Broncos, Coach Gary Kubiak, stepping down, retiring due to health issues.
That's probably the most attractive position.
The rumor is that Coach Chuck Pagano of the Indianapolis Colts could be let go.
He should be.
There's also a rumor on Coach Bill O'Brien and the Texans parting ways mutually.
Yeah, I think that one's a bunch of crap, too. To let that guy go based on the fact that they haven't had a quarterback his entire tenure there. They bring in Brock Osweiler. Yeah, he has part of the decision, but the GM has the full, the final vote, as you can hear from the articles where Chip Kelly wanted to draft Dak Prescott, and Baalke said no.
Yep.
I just want to call him Baalke, like from Perfect Strangers. Baalke Bartakamoose. So O'Brien, I don't think, got a fair shake. I mean, last year they were in the playoffs, and they were playing with, TJ Yates, as
TJ
their
Yates.
quarterback.
Yep.
They were their third string quarterback at that point, and they almost won a playoff game. So to say that, and then they go and win the division again this year with all the problems they had at quarterback again.
Right.
I think that to let a guy go who's had back-to-back playoff appearances with, a garbage can for a quarterback, I think that's kind of stupid, but that's the NFL these days.
Yep.
If you don't win a Super Bowl, then get the F out of here.
Pretty much, yeah. So let me ask you this, because you look at the San Francisco 49ers situation, and you see that Trent Baalke hired Jim Tomsula last season, and they hired Chip Kelly this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was I don't know if that was a mistake. I mean, the
I don't think it was a mistake. What roster did they
the
have?
GM was already in hot water as was. They hired Chip Kelly anyways. Now they get rid of the GM. They get rid of Chip Kelly because they're going to bring in a new GM, and the new GM's going to want to get their coach with them. Now, the Buffalo Bills are kind of in a similar situation because they fired Rex Ryan.
Can't go a week without talking about them Bills, can we?
Well, no, you can't.
They just keep coming up.
They do.
Stories keep leaking out.
The Buffalo Bills fire Rex Ryan.
And Doug Whaley has no clue.
Doug Whaley had no idea about it. Doug Whaley is now on the hot seat.
Yep.
So
Which he apparently probably has no idea.
Yeah. So let's just say Bills don't make the playoffs next year, which they probably won't. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
They probably will not. Doug Whaley will be removed. Why would a top coaching candidate like Buffalo's fan base seems to think like the Tom Coughlins or trade for a Sean Payton or lure Gruden somehow or anything like that? Why would any of the top coaching candidates come to Buffalo where you don't know if you get a starting quarterback? You don't know if Tyrod Taylor's coming back at all.
Yeah. Now he's a little miffed.
Oh, yeah.
We're being benched.
Can you blame him?
Because he was going to run straight into, 3 linebackers, drop his helmet off.
He was going to run right.
Disfigured. $32 million, it's worth it.
He'll take Big Cat out to dinner.
Yeah.
Big Cat, I'm running.
Kill me.
but so you don't know.
Million,
you don't know if you're going to have that.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins will be in the last year of his rookie deal, having another offseason foot surgery. That's his third, I think.
Which means he's going to have a huge season next year to get paid.
Robert Woods is probably not coming back.
Yeah. Aaron Williams is going to retire.
Shady's going to be a year older.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Maybe he might not be slower, but and why would a head coach go to that situation of uncertainty only to possibly miss the playoffs, and then his GM gets fired, and then he's going to get fired? Because
it's an attractive position. You have an owner who's willing to spend. You're getting a new stadium soon. Is
that finalized yet? Because they're all over the place.
I'm sure it is. They'll get a new stadium. They're getting reorganized anyways. They're getting renovated, whatever. You've got an owner that wants to spend. You've got some talent on your team, a good amount of talent. There's a lot of young talent on that team. Alexander is a good example. You got Marcel Darius. If you give him a playbook that's in crayon. You got some good players on that squad.
Give him a playbook that's in crayon.
Give him a grape soda and a crayon, and he'll just figure out the defensive plays for him. So they've got some possibilities, but the attractiveness of that job, the fact that if you go in there and take that team and make them a winner, they will erect a statue for you. Because that's how starved they are.
They will erect a statue while being erect.
Well, they'll have the dildo statue.
They should
forget.
They should already have that right now.
Never forget.
They totally should.
Seriously, if a coach comes in there, you can sell them on, if you make this team a winner, you're going to be a hero in this town. You'll never have to buy another meal. They want a winner in Buffalo, and if you can deliver that, man, you've got blank check in that area. So
all the Duff's wings you could eat.
It's not like they're miles away from the playoffs. They're getting eliminated the last 2 to 3 weeks every year now. So they're there. They're on the cusp. I think coaching continuity, that kind of went out the window, but if you can get that, and, you do a little better job in the draft board, they have a shot to get it as a wild card.
Okay.
Worst comes to worst, they pick up the team and move them south, and then they can play in the AFC South and make the playoffs with an 8-8 record, or 7-9 sometimes.
Okay.
But I think that's why that's attractive. It's an attractive gig, because if you can win there,
dude, Buffalo versus Jacksonville too.
They'll be so grateful for it. Jacksonville doesn't have the length of time without a winner. They don't have the history that Buffalo has. A lot of teams have. Okay, yeah, we haven't won in a few years. Yeah, we haven't made the playoffs in a few years. Buffalo and Cleveland, they haven't made them forever. Cleveland, they can go to 4 straight Super Bowls and lose. They got Jim Brown. Bills had OJ. Welp, we know what happened to that one.
Yep. Oh.
So they've had a lot of
Orenthal.
It's a long-suffering fan base. And if you can take it, why do you think Joe Madden went to the Cubs? They had a good roster. They hadn't made the playoffs in a while. They had some good young talent there. They just needed to get the right pieces in place. So they had a good GM, and they had a good coach. And that coach got him there. Joe Madden's a hero for that, for that franchise forever.
Right.
Cubs fans have been suffering forever. Bills fans are like Cub fans now. Just not as lovely. I don't see Cubs fans slamming each other through tables and pouring mustard and ketchup all over themselves. I don't see that, but that's the kind of attractiveness that job possesses. Is that you lose, you're expected to lose. But if you win, if you turn that team around, you're going to have Dan Germain at your house saluting you every day. Can I get your paper for you, mister? Thank you so much for making our team a winner. I can finally talk crap now, and it actually, sticks.
Poor Dan Germain.
That poor guy. So yeah, that's why I think that's an attractive job, and that's why a Tom Coughlin might be interested in something like that.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think he's going to get John Gruden there.
Oh, hell no.
Everyone on the team's going to think that they're the best because he's going to talk them all up during practice. Boy, I tell you, that Kyle Williams, he's the best, the absolute best at doing this.
Tell you what, man, you see that
Tyrod Taylor.
You see that Cardale Jones?
Tyrod Taylor.
I'll tell you what, man. You see that Cardale Jones? He's a big, strong guy, and you know what? Can throw the football pretty far too, man. I'll tell you. Whoa, it's like the Twilight Zone when he's throwing now.
Why does your John Gruden sound like a mix of John Gruden and Scarface? He sounds like he's got a little Latino flavor to him.
I'm Latino, damn it.
I know, but you don't sound it until you start trying to be John Gruden.
Shut up, Brandon. All right. On that note,
sorry.
You know what we're gonna do? We're going to take a commercial break.
And then we're going to talk playoffs.
And then we are going to talk playoffs. Or something. Probably both. This is Football Talk Weekly right here on the Gear Radio Network. And yes, I am still salty as Hey everyone, John Cimino here for Amazon Prime. If you've thought of signing up for Amazon but were afraid to pull the trigger on that because it's $99 for a year and it's one flat price, even though there's awesome benefits to it, I got great news for you. Amazon has now given you a variety of options to try Prime. First of all, you can either try Amazon Prime Video for $8.99 a month, which is cheaper than Netflix, and it also gives you unlimited movies and TV shows, including HD, Ultra HD, and HDR when available at no additional charge. You can try Amazon Prime Monthly for $10.99 a month, which is equivalent to Netflix, but in addition, you'll get free 2-day shipping, unlimited movies, TV, and music streaming, access to over 1 million ebooks, free unlimited photo storage, and free same-day delivery in eligible areas. Perhaps those drones? Maybe, maybe not. Not sure. Or if you're old school like me, you pay $99 a year annually, and you get all the benefits of Prime Monthly. Plus, you can save 25% with prepayment discount added. It's an added feature for you yearly folks. Don't think they forgot about you. You can go ahead to GearNetwork.com. That's GERE Network.com. Click on our Amazon banner, our Amazon Prime banner, and we can hook you up with a free 30-day trial through us. This podcast does receive a special bonus if you sign up for Prime using us. And that's even if you don't keep it, but we think you will because it's awesome. And if you shop Amazon frequently like I do, that free 2-day shipping is a lifesaver. As always, thank you for bookmarking and sharing our link at gearnetwork.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Mr. Gabriel Soul.
And I'm Pat G.
The G stands for gangster. And you are listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, baby.
Every week live and exclusively on the Gear Network.
Where we talk about indie wrestling, national wrestling, WWE, TNA, ROH, every single independent wrestling scene that we get information on, plus our opinions on such.
Find it only on the Gear Network app, iTunes, and more.
You always got to go to GearNetwork.com to tune in and listen to my voice every single week, because I know you love it. And the reason why is because you get eargasms, baby.
And if you want those eargasms, tune in every week. Otherwise, we only have one word for you.
Cyclone!
I like this, Brandon.
It's Childish Gambino.
This is the one that Ryan recommended last week during the interview.
Oh, this is his last album. Because of the internet. His new one is out, which is also very good.
Oh, all right. Well, I will
You should check it out. It's called Childish Gambino.
Okay, fair enough.
Awaken My Love.
All right. Well, we are back on the Football Talk Weekly podcast. I may be just a little less salty right now, which is, I guess, a good thing. Cured some audio issues and whatever with this. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, what?
I don't know. I'm reading the lyrics as he's going on right now, and I'm kind of like mesmerized right now. But, all right, let's turn this bad boy down here because we got some playoffs to talk about, Brandon.
Playoffs?
Hey. Childish Gambino. No. This is how this works.
You can't
music
stop
lover.
him because of the internet.
This is how it works, okay? And I'm going to tell you this, internet.
Yes.
I dictate the levels, all right?
Yep.
This goddamn thing better not trying to... All right. That's enough. Stop it. All right, you're done. Go home, you're drunk. All right. Playoffs. The playoff teams are in the AFC, New England, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Houston, Oakland, and Miami. And in the NFC, Dallas, Atlanta, Seattle, Green Bay, New York, and Detroit. So Saturday's games, Brandon, at 4:35 on the mothership, on the worldwide leader.
Ouch.
Perhaps the greatest playoff game this season you will ever
God.
see. The Oakland Raiders visit the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Rookie Connor Cook has been named the starter for the game, and it is his first career start in a playoff game. Imagine that. No pressure, kid.
Nope.
Brock Osweiler returns to start as the starter for Houston because
No pressure, kid.
Macho Man Tom Savage, on the concussion protocol. So, we don't have the same Oakland team. They're not who we thought they were. And the last time Houston played Oakland, they actually played pretty well. Osweiler didn't do too bad. So I ask you this.
In Mexico City.
Yep. So I ask you this, Brandon. Oakland at Houston. Who you got?
I got Oakland by a nose. I think they'll get their run game going this week, and that's going to take some time off the clock. I just don't think Osweiler is going to do enough to carry the load. There's questions about Lamar Miller's health. He didn't play the last week of the season. Didn't play the week before that. So, I don't know. This is just a bad game. It is a lot of bad luck. I mean, the Raiders should, for all intents and purposes, should have won the West, and now they got to go on a road game to play the garbage Texans, who are a far inferior team. But I just would rather assume just close my eyes and pick one and just move on to the night game.
Okay.
Because it's going to be awful.
Okay.
I'm not watching it.
So you said Oakland, right?
Yep.
I am going to as well say Oakland. Houston.
The land?
Yeah, the land. I think Oakland has a better supporting cast around their lack of quarterback than Houston does around theirs. So we both have Oakland on that one. So then later on that night at 8:15.
Sound like you stubbed your toe there.
Huh?
Oakland. Ow.
Okay. Anyways, Detroit at Seattle. 8:15 on the National Broadcasting Company.
Yeah, that'd be a good game.
Detroit brings its 21st ranked offense against the 5th ranked defense of Seattle. Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford did put up decent numbers throughout the season. We mentioned that earlier. Stafford actually is in the consideration for MVP.
Until he broke that finger.
Right. Detroit, however, is outdoors, and Seattle is a very tough place to play. So,
Yeah.
Brandon, I ask you this. Detroit, Seattle, who you got?
I got Seattle, but I would not be shocked if Detroit wins.
Really?
Yeah, Seattle's defense without Earl Thomas has been not as great. Their offensive line is a disaster. If Ziggy Ansah's healthy and they can get some pressure on Wilson, that could be what changes the tide. Mm-hmm. Wilson has just not been able to really connect to his receivers. He's had some good games with Baldwin, he's had some good ones with Graham, but he was really getting chemistry with Lockett, and then Lockett got hurt, and Lockett's done for the year. So, they're very inconsistent on offense. The defense has not been as good. They're still good, but I think it's enough to do it, but I would not be shocked if Detroit pulls off an upset.
I agree there. It wouldn't, in the sense that it wouldn't surprise me if Detroit did end up pulling it off, because again, the offense, regardless of it being the 21st ranked offense, Stafford has been getting it done. He's just been doing it all season.
Until last week.
But I'm going
to
take the experience of Seattle, regardless of Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
You still have Richard Sherman there.
Right.
You still have Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin there. Jimmy Graham's got experience in the big lights. And Coach Peter Carroll, your boy, he will coach him up.
Chewing his gum, clapping his hands.
I'm going to take the experience of the Seattle Seahawks over the inexperience of the Detroit Lions. However,
they're not that inexperienced. They got robbed in that game against Dallas a couple years ago, too.
They did.
They got really robbed in that game. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think that Stafford not having to lock on to Megatron,
yes, that has been a major change for them this season.
I think he's going to make it a much bigger challenge for Seattle to cover, because they can switch up and he can go to somebody else,
right.
And Sherman stays on one side of the field all the time anyways. Right. So those put garbage out there for him. And I would also not be surprised if you see a healthy dose of Zach Center. That dude, I was impressed by him watching him last week against Green Bay, and I was surprised they went away from him in the second half last week. But
okay.
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yes.
It's tough to play in Seattle and win in Seattle.
I agree. It's tough to play in regular season in Seattle, let alone that playoff environment. That's huge. All right, Miami at Pittsburgh on Sunday, 1:05 on the Columbia Broadcasting System. Miami surprised the world. They got in, and they play a Pittsburgh team that has the 7th-ranked offense to the Dolphins' 29th-ranked defense.
Yep.
The last time, though, however, Miami did beat Pittsburgh on the legs of Jay Ajayi, but Pittsburgh
Big Ben
has
was banged up in that game.
Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell all healthy at the same time. Brandon, who you got?
Oh, I got Pittsburgh, and I don't think it'll be that close.
No. I agree with you.
Heinz Field's tough to play, especially this time of year, and the field conditions are not going to be the greatest.
Right.
I don't see Ajayi just tearing it off.
I don't either. These are not the Buffalo Bills.
No.
You know what I mean? The Steelers are bred to play in this type of environment, and that's just what they do. And the Dolphins, hey, you had a great surprise run. You surprised everybody. Aside from Tom Ernest and DolphinsTalk.com, I don't think anybody had the Miami Dolphins making the playoffs at all whatsoever.
What about your wifey?
Well, maybe.
She's probably hopeful.
Maybe she did.
She's probably hopeful.
Yeah, probably. She's happy they got there.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn. How you doing? Get ready, America. Let's do it sometime, shall we? Okay, in the game of the week, as far as the big marquee matchup.
Yeah.
The New York Giants at the frozen tundra at the Green Bay Packers. 4:40 p.m. on Fox. Brandon, these two teams, I have to say, for all the Dallases and all the Dirty Bird bandwagon that I have been riding all season for the sake of the show and comedy and whatever, one of these two teams, my gut is telling me, is the NFC Super Bowl representation. Eli Manning is stone cold.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is Joe Cool 2.0.
Yep.
Both teams have been playing very, very well. Green Bay is just red hot.
Yeah. It's going to be 15 degrees and cold.
15 degrees,
on
cold.
Sunday.
And it's not going to really be a detriment to Eli Manning because you think back to 2007.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, either way,
He's beaten them twice in Lambeau.
whomever wins this game, I truly, truly, truly believe that one of these two teams are going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. That being said, Brandon, who you got?
I got Green Bay. I think they're just on too much of a roll, and Lambeau Field, they're pretty darn tough to beat. I think Rodgers is I think he's seeing his window, and he wants to step through it. I think that, the way things have gone this year with the down part of the season, they had that lull in the middle, and then they just picked it up to another gear. Jordy Nelson's the X factor. He wasn't the healthiest and most involved in that first matchup that the Giants and Packers played this year. He is fully involved now. He led the league in receiving touchdowns this year. Not too far behind him was Devontae Adams, who also was not a huge part of the offense at that point of the year. They're going to have to cover both of those guys, possibly Randall Cobb. Jared Cook has been a revelation. They're going to have trouble covering that guy in the middle of the field. So if they're going to start doubling around the corners, Aaron's going to burn them down the middle with Jared Cook. And Randall Cobb comes back, and also there's been an emergence of another top receiver too, Geronimo Allison. He's got all sorts of confidence in him, and the dude's got speed. So you might be paying attention to Nelson and Adams underneath on slant patterns, and Allison's taking off down the sideline. Rodgers throws a pretty nice deep ball. That being said, I do worry about our defense a little bit, especially against Eli. Eli, if they hang around, has a way of getting the ball when it matters, and then he just kind of lucks his way into a throw, and he just kind of closes his eyes and chucks it, and somebody comes down with it on their helmet, or falling out of bounds with one hand.
Right. It's crazy.
It's going to be crazy.
It's offense. It's going to be offense. Is really what it boils down to.
I think the biggest key is if the Giants can keep Rodgers in the pocket, they have a better shot. If Rodgers can get that outside the pocket, he has the highest amount of time before he has to throw a pass in the league by far. Sometimes up to 6 seconds before he has to take a pass, because his line does a really great job protecting. Yeah, they break down sometimes. He gets sacked. It happens. But the amount of times he can buy just by sidestepping, moving outside the pocket, if the Giants can't do that, they could be in for a long day.
You know what? I hate to sound like Perez, but I agree with you.
Agree
with everything that you just said there. Realistically, that they've connected, they've clicked, and they're playing like the Green Bay Packers that we know, and that's a scary, scary thing. Yeah. Again, to your point as well, Eli Manning in the playoffs is scary as well,
right?
Because of the
especially with Beckham,
right? He's got Beckham. He's got Cruz playing. Cruz isn't really the Cruz of old. However, he can make plays. They have a decent running game. It's going to be offense is really what it's going to boil down to. For the sake of the fact that I picked,
definitely ain't going to be our defense.
No, I picked Green Bay or Arizona as my Super Bowl representation.
Arizona went.
And Arizona didn't go very well, but Green Bay did. And I posted on Facebook and the Twitter this week that part of me really, really, really wants to see Kansas City against Green Bay, the Super Bowl I rematch.
Yeah.
The only way that's going to happen is if the Green Bay Packers win. So that's
why you have to pick them.
That's why I'm going Green Bay Packers. So, all right. We have essentially picked and agreed on all 4 games, which is good. Which is good because let's have a little fun. We picked the same here. So we've got the NFL playoff bracket. So let's go ahead and let's, I guess, predict the playoffs.
Do we really want to do that? Because we're going to break it down next week, too.
Well,
it could be completely different games.
Okay, it could be. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
We should do week by week.
Let's do it week by week.
Detroit upsets Seattle, and Detroit ends up going to
Detroit would end up going to Dallas.
Green Bay will go to Atlanta, and
right,
so on and so forth.
So I'm going to screenshot what we have here. Then
Houston very well could win.
Oh God, yeah, they could.
They could go to New England, or they could end up in Kansas City.
Yep.
If Pittsburgh wins.
Highly unlikely that. That'll happen. I'm thinking Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Well, obviously, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Oakland, New England. And unfortunately, Oakland would be carless. All right, so you know what? Then we won't play that game. And you're yawning over there, and I am
late.
I am dragging knuckles.
Yes,
I am salty as hell. I am tired, Brandon.
And it is cold outside.
Yes, it is. So with that,
low 19, 18 degrees right now. Windy.
Hell with that. All right,
Ooh.
we're gonna close out this episode here of the Football Talk Weekly Podcast. Again, thank you all very much for joining us for the playoffs edition, if you will. We will be back next week to talk what happened. Were we right? Were we wrong? Who knows? We'll make our predictions for the next round too, and we'll talk some more nonsense. Hey, Jeff Garcia wants to coach the 49ers.
That's good.
All right.
He might be the only one that wants to.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Like I said, Brandon, next week, shall we?
We shall.
All right. Good day to you, sir.
And good day to you.
So long, everybody. Good night now.
Remember to see more National Football League action next week.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.